Well, hello friends, welcome to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 30 years and a bunch of weeks ago, the next episode of Star Trek The Next Generation premiered. It was called Time Squared, and these are my honest opinions about it. I usually don't have problems understanding sci-fi movies. I usually don't have problems following any kind of time travel stories. I'm one of the people who finds the scene in Back to the Future Part 2, where Dr. Brown explains to Marty what an alternate timeline is, to say it politely, insulting, but at the same time I don't understand what's going on in this story. The setup is great, but the payoff is confusing, and that is the word which I'm going to use a lot during this video. The episode starts with Riker doing what every commander is apparently doing in Starfleet. He's making scrambled eggs for Dr. Pulaski, Worf, Geordi, and Data. Yes, because we know that Data loves eating, and as an emotionless android he will surely enjoy the good meal. I'm pretty sure that it made sense in the head of the writer, but that doesn't mean that it will make sense to me. They talk about Riker's background, and we are told that Dr. Pulaski doesn't know who Riker's father is. And please remember it will be important, not today, but in the next episode. Everybody hates the eggs, only Worf seems to love it. I guess it's supposed to be funny, but I just can't laugh. It's like listening to your friend who desperately thinks how funny he is, and trying to laugh after he tells you the same joke he told you the last 500 times you were together. It wasn't really funny the first time, and it gets more and more annoying every time he tells it, but you don't want to hurt his feelings because you like him for some reason. I think most of us have been there. So after an annoying and absolutely pointless intro, the plot finally starts. They find a Federation shuttle floating in space, but there are no Federation ships or stations anywhere near. So they take it into the shuttle bay using a tractor beam. A tractor beam coming from somewhere above the shuttle bay. There is one tiny little problem. If you understand the Enterprise layout, there is absolutely nothing above the shuttle bay. Even the effect sequences are confusing. However, when they finally get the shuttle to the ship, they find out that it's an exact copy of the shuttle next to it, and when they open it, they find a second Captain Picard inside. Great premise, I love it. Unfortunately, the teaser is the best part of the episode. I usually talk a lot about the plot of the episode, but to be perfectly honest, there is not really much to talk about in this case. The vast majority of the episode is people sitting in a room and talking about how confused they are. The room changes, the amount of people changes, the dialogue changes, but still, if you really think about it, it's the same scene all over again. So apologies if I won't be going into many details, but there just isn't that much to talk about. We find out that Picard comes 6 hours from the future. Why 6 hours? I googled it to find out what was the writer's motivation for going only 6 hours into the future. His response was that he liked it. Okay. Now for whatever reason, everything functions in the opposite way as it should. And I just described with one sentence something what feels like 15 minutes worth of screen time. When Data and Geordi copy the logs of the shuttle, they find out that in 6 hours the Enterprise will meet something in space. Some cloud, or however I should call it, because Star Trek obviously didn't have enough episodes with space clouds, which attack the lead ship. Picard will be for some reason forced to leave the ship, and then he will watch how the Enterprise gets destroyed by the space cloud, and it somehow throws him to the past. They can't speak to him because he's unconscious, and when Dr. Pulaski wakes him up, they find out that he's way too confused and that he will be more normal when they get closer to the time he came from. Yes, that's an interesting idea, but there is one tiny little problem. This second Picard will never be normal. He will always behave like a mentally challenged person and not like our Picard. Our Picard even tells it at one point. The second guy is nothing like him except for his looks, and that's actually my biggest problem with this episode. In the final act, when they are at the point in which Picard wants to leave the ship, he should be normal. And he should have a perfectly logical discussion with our Picard. That never happens, and we get no explanation why. Don't get me wrong, I love good mysteries, but things have to make sense, and if you tell us that this second guy is just 6 hours from the future, you have to give us a very good explanation why is he so different. He behaves like he spent years alone in space and forgot how to talk to other humans or something like that. So of course, finally, they find the blue space cloud, they literally bump into it, and they see it in front of them. But when we see the outside point of view, the blue space cloud is located below the Enterprise. So is the camera too below the ship? Where exactly is it located? But again, they try to leave the place, but just like the shuttle, everything they try has an opposite reaction than they expected. In other words, the more they try to get out, the more they also get pulled in. Then on the bridge, Picard is hit with a blue beam. Meanwhile on sickbay, the patient Picard is also hit with a blue beam. Which means that the captain takes the turbo lift and goes to sickbay. After that, Deanna also wants to go to sickbay, so also she goes there after Picard. The next scene starts with Picard entering sickbay, where Deanna is already waiting for him. Did Picard take a nap between leaving the bridge and arriving to sickbay? I hate repeating myself, but everything in this episode is confusing, including the editing. He wakes up his other self, and they both go to the shuttle bay. Future Picard is absolutely sure he must leave the ship because the thing is going after him. How does he know that? Shouldn't our Picard have now all of the information that the future Picard has? So our Picard now allows future Picard to leave the ship, but then suddenly changes his mind and shoots him. And the camera and the editing seems to think that this is a very emotional moment. But I am, you know what, confused, trying to understand what just happened. Picard murdering somebody in cold blood feels so strange, even if he technically just committed suicide. Then he says that the Enterprise is supposed to stop escaping, but instead the Enterprise is supposed to fly inside. When they do it, the cloud monster disappears and they are free. Oh, and the second Picard disappears, just like the second shuttle, and they are all confused what happened. Which is funny because this is the only part of the story I understood. Picard never left the ship and never went back 6 hours into the past, so of course he didn't end up killed in the shuttle bay. Makes perfect sense to me, but if that never happened, why does everybody remember it? Again, confusing. I said it many times on this channel, I love good mysteries, I also love good time travel stories, I also love slowly paced movies and TV shows, so I should absolutely love this one too, right? Well, the premise of the story is great. Picard meets himself and doesn't like what he sees. That's basically the same story as Star Trek Nemesis, the last Star Trek The Next Generation movie ever made. But why are these two Picards so different? I mean, there is only a 6-hour-long gap between them. But they are basically two different people. Taking example again from Star Trek Nemesis, there is a good reason why Shinzon and Picard are two different characters, because Shinzon was raised by Romulans. Oh my god, I have just realized I am saying positive things about Star Trek Nemesis, my least favorite Star Trek movie, or at least one of the least favorite movies. Also, why does everybody and everything behaved differently than expected? Why does flying through the cloud break the time loop? What was that cloud thing? Was the creature? Was it intelligent? Why did it want Picard? They tried to explain it somehow, but they kind of gave up in the middle. The writer of this episode, Maurice Hurley, who was also during that time the showrunner, originally planned this as a multi-episode story, and this whole thing should be just another Q game, which should be explained in one of the future episodes. But when Roddenberry read the plan, he said a simple "no way", which is a pity. I think that doing that could be actually a fresh and interesting idea. At the same time, I have no clue if it would work or not, but what I know for sure is that this episode doesn't work for me. I was thinking a lot about the rating. I don't hate this episode, I actually love the premise. I love the teaser and like the first two acts, but the story goes nowhere and makes no sense. The longer it goes, the more I dislike it. So, on my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 5 out of 10. Compared to the other episodes in the season, I think 5 is pretty fair, but as always, these were just my opinions. Let me know, what did you think about this episode? Did you love it or hate it? Let me know what did you think down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you have some free time, you can check any of the other videos on my channel. You should see some links on screen right now. My next video will be about the last episode of the classic Star Trek show, but that will be hopefully during the weekend. So for now, thank you very much for watching, and see you in a couple of days. Bye.